there. Welcome back to the College Down Podcast. I'm your host, Sam Roth. Along with me is Derek DeBurger.
Hello.
Today we are going to talk about everything college sports, which is basically the death of the Pac-12.
A lot happened. A lot happened since we were gone.
Yeah, basically, to sum it up shortly, the Pac-12 is dead. That is the short. Bye. Thanks for watching the episode. That's all we got.
Go Ravens.
I know, right? No, you're not going to get me to say that, even though that is what I'm wearing. So quite a predicament you put me in there.
Yeah.
Shout out Lamar Jackson, favorite college quarterback of all time. Got to rep his stuff. That's what we're doing here. Supporting a player, not a team, just so we're clear.
Look, you only ever cheer for the laundry. I don't know if you're familiar with Seinfeld.
I'm not very familiar with it. It was a show that my parents and that generation watched and thoroughly enjoyed, and I could care less about.
I've only seen a few episodes.
I got you.
A few episodes I've seen are pretty good.
Hey, there you go.
They've got an episode about shrinkage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway.
They're brave. It's on Netflix. You could watch it anytime.
Yeah, I don't. We've been over. I don't like to watch
so
stuff.
weird.
Yeah. So anyway, let's see. Let's run down what has happened to the Pac-12 recently. Oregon and Washington have joined the Big Ten along with their other Pac-12 teams in the USC and UCLA, as well as we also have Arizona, Arizona State, and Utah are joining the Big 12.
Along with Colorado.
Colorado as well,
Yeah.
jumping ship first.
Yeah.
So all that's left basically is California, Stanford, Oregon State, and Washington State.
The good old Pac-4.
Yeah. The question is, do they become like the Mountain West, or does like the Mountain West join them? Like, will we see a Pac-12, or like what's happening here?
Who knows?
It is true.
Who knows? Because I've
knows?
seen so many different solutions floated around. Like I've seen the Pac-12 is going to stay alive, but they're not going to be a power conference. Like they're just going to absorb the Mountain West and some American teams and try to like stay alive that way. I've heard everyone in the Pac-12, the Pac-4 is going to jump ship and go to the Mountain West. I've heard like
There's
Cal, Washington, Oregon State are going to go to the Mountain West, and then Stanford's just going to be independent in football.
Huh.
Like I've heard so many, and then the kind of breaking news as we're starting this recording is that
Stanford.
Stanford and ACC. There's the Stanford in California. There is meetings going on tonight between ACC athletic directors and then ACC presidents and chancellors to kind of kick the tires on Stanford and Cal. So they might be going to the ACC. Who knows?
Man.
It was pretty obvious, I think, to track the trajectory of like Oregon, Washington,
Right.
and then the four corner schools that had been reported on for a while.
Yeah.
No one knows with this.
Right. Just kind of unfortunate to see on how TV money, basically money, is the overall resounding factor for all this. The Pac-12 basically had a bad deal that came out with Apple. There's now signed with Apple TV basically, and it was a very heavy incentive-based contract. So part of the reason why a lot of teams started to jump ship was because they couldn't budget year to year knowing how much money they would have.
Yeah.
Because it's such an incentive-based contract. Also, the other thing I found interesting was that if you're Apple, you buy this, like, where does that money go? Who gets it? Like, is there a void in the contract for those TV deals now? Because there's basically not a conference anymore.
Well, I don't think the Pac-12 has officially signed a deal with Apple yet.
Oh, really? I thought they did.
I think it came out that was the leading contender.
Gotcha.
For the media rights deal. And that's what tore the league apart, basically. That and the fact that the athletic director made $50 million a year, while every school got like $25 million.
Jeez.
Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I found that out today.
Really?
The not the current
The commissioner.
Director. I didn't even say
You're
it.
saying you're saying commissioner of
the commissioner
Pac-12.
of the Pac-12, not the current one, but the one before. His salary was $50 million a year,
Jeez.
and the school's got $25 million.
That one guy making a lot of dough.
Yeah. So if he just made, I don't know, $5 million, and then split the other $45 million with the rest of the schools, maybe it wouldn't. Maybe USC and UCLA wouldn't have left.
Maybe.
They probably would have.
They would, yeah, definitely. But how big are the Big 10, Big 12, and SEC going to get? Is there a limit to how many teams they will absorb? There obviously is. Like, they're not going to absorb 25, 50, however many.
Yeah.
But, like, are they still going to try to add teams, you think? Or schools? They're not teams, they're schools.
I don't know. Because, so Oregon and Washington, they're joining the Big Ten on, like, half contracts, basically. Like, every school in the Big Ten is getting $70 million a year.
Right.
Oregon and Washington are going to get $35 million a year. Or it's rumored that they will work their way up to $35 million a year.
Oh, so they're not just going to jump in and get all the dough?
No.
Their slice of the pie immediately?
No, that was probably
the conditions for them to get in?
Yeah, for the schools that are already in it, they were probably like, no, we don't want to give up any of our $70 million.
Right, exactly.
And so,
makes sense.
I mean, they're still going to be making more than they would have in the Pac-12.
Oh, absolutely.
But
it's a win-win for everyone involved in the Big Ten, really.
But there's already this, conferences showing that, like, they can't pay everybody all the money. So
you can only cut the cake and pie so many ways. You can only slice it so many ways.
Yeah, before your share gets meaningless.
Right.
And I don't think the Big Ten is done expanding. I think it's going to be a while, because I think at this point we're just waiting on the ACC to fold. But the thing is, the grant of rights is so strong. Right. It seems.
And speaking of that, Florida State's desperate to get out. Florida State is adamant to get out.
Yeah.
Florida State, if y'all aren't aware, has hired J.P. Morgan Chase and 6 Cents financial firm.
Okay.
Basically, what they're trying to find a way to do is they're trying to sell equity within their athletic program, which I think is going to be very complicated for them because
they're a public university.
You also have to find a way to make it to where that it's a nonprofit too. So you're trying to buy out of your contract within the ACC, as well as also trying to find a way that you're a nonprofit, as well as not get up any properties within the university. It's a very complex and complicated deal that they're trying to. All to just improve their football team. To get more money.
All to get in the short term $5 million less a year. Because they're going to get a half share too. If they go to the SEC or the Big Ten, they're going to get a half share. The ACC schools are getting $40 million a year right now.
But long term it's dead.
I'm aware of that, but
it's short term. It sucks, but you have to do it for the long term.
Yeah, but give it time at least.
I mean, here's a question for you: what is an athletic program worth? How do you put a value on that and then try to sell it? How do you sell an athletic program? Could you imagine?
I think there's people who went to school for that.
No, but could you imagine? Never in my wildest dreams would I think that we've come to the point in college sports to where you could own a share in an athletic program. You know?
Yeah, that's
you have
pretty
shareholders
crazy.
You have to reply to them why the team is playing poorly. It is strictly a business at this point. It is. I mean, it's not even trying to hide it anymore. It's just that's what it is.
Well, I mean, I don't even know if that could happen. I genuinely don't know if they could sell part of the athletic program to
I'm not
JP
even
Morgan.
sure if it's exactly the athletic program. I read bits and pieces of this article on CBS Sports. I mean, CBS basically, and it was such a here's what they're trying to do, but they don't even know if it's possible.
Yeah, because it's a public university.
Right.
It's a public, non-profit university.
Right. Who's trying to make money.
Yeah, so I don't even think that that's possible. I think what's going to end up happening is probably if Florida State really does get antsy, which, by the way, they don't have a landing spot right now.
Florida State?
Yeah, SEC hasn't extended an offer. I think the SEC is trying to slow play this.
Well, so the other thing is, like, if you're those conferences, you don't have to make an offer. There's nothing that's saying that anything can be done to get out of that contract.
Yeah, and, like, so the Big Ten has expressed a desire, even going back, like, 2 commissioners ago, like 13 years ago, they said that they're interested in going to the Southeast, which, yeah, that's Florida State. But rumors from ESPN are saying that they're very interested in Virginia and North Carolina.
Is that just because they're not in that markets? Is that basically what it is?
I think it's a couple factors. It's the fact that, yeah, they're not in, like, Virginia and North Carolina puts them in the Southeast.
Yeah.
A little bit. Virginia and North Carolina are good.
They're good basketball schools.
They're very good basketball schools, which will fit in with the Big Ten.
Yeah.
And also, they're very wealthy schools.
Yeah.
Like, not
a lot of tradition, wealth, yeah.
Like, UNC is the oldest public school,
right,
in the U.S. Virginia was started by Thomas Jefferson. Like, they're very good academic schools, which the Big Ten loves. They have very wealthy alumni, and surprisingly, not with North Carolina, but with Virginia, their athletic departments make a ton of money.
Really?
I'm pretty sure they're both top 5 in the ACC. Yeah, and so that it makes sense for the Big Ten to go after them, and I think that's who they want to go after.
Wow.
I don't think they necessarily want Florida State. I think it's the thing of, like, they'd take them maybe, but I don't think they're going after Florida State.
Yeah.
I think the Big Ten probably wants Virginia, North Carolina, Notre Dame, maybe Miami. But so Florida State doesn't have a landing spot right now. If they somehow find a way to pay the $120 million, whatever it is, plus legal fees to get out of the ACC, where do you go?
Whoever extends the offer. But also, I don't think anyone's extending the offer until they know you can go. Because it's not urgency to offer someone who's stuck. Like, hey, we'll offer you, and then who knows what's going to happen. How long is this contract till? 2031?
The ACC?
Yeah.
2036.
Yeah, 2036. You don't know where athletic program's going to be in, 13 years?
Well, Florida State's still going to be Florida State. They're still going to bring in.
You say that. Like, anything's possible in 13 years. You don't know where. Why?
I didn't say they're still going to be good.
No, I'm just saying, like, you don't know, like, what the risk will be of, like. There's been dominant programs in the past and then have absolutely lost their ways and then aren't worth what they once were because of that.
Sure, but they still bring in ratings. They're still, like, the SEC has expressed an interest in I think a lot of it's just, like, commissioner speak, but I think there's a lot.
I'm sorry, I'm tired. I'm trying, man. Leave me alone.
You can yawn, it's fine.
Dude, I'm trying. I've been up for a while. Leave me alone.
You sound so sad.
It's been a long week.
Who do you think's more tired? You or any athletic director trying to get out of the ACC or Pac-12?
Definitely the athletic directors of Washington State, Oregon State College.
Washington State and Oregon State don't care. They're like, we're here. We're going to land wherever we land. We don't care.
Stanford,
they're not losing
California.
sleep over this.
I'm not losing sleep. I'm just tired.
You're just not getting it?
I got plenty of sleep today. I've just been up for a while.
All right.
Been up for 12 hours.
I don't even remember what I was saying. It was something about SEC.
Florida State.
Greg Sankey is who I was talking about.
Leave me alone.
Yeah. So Greg Sankey, I was saying I don't know how much of this is real and how much of it is just commissioner speak, commissioner talk. But I think there's, like, nuggets of truth where, as far as, like, he said that the SEC is really proud of, like, staying in their geographical footprint and also like reuniting rivalries.
Right.
I think maybe the rivalries thing is like like, oh, well, it's convenient that it's convenient that Texas and Texas A&M are now playing each other again, but I don't think that was the main focus.
Right.
But I do think the geographical part of what he said is probably pretty important. Just look away. I don't know, like, cover your mouth. I don't. You don't have to like. You don't have to like do a little elephant noise every time you yawn.
Just trying to help the audio, man. Anyway.
Yeah, I think the SEC's, they want to stay in the South. They want to stay in the South, and Florida State is in the South, obviously, and they're also rivals with Florida.
Yeah,
so
that would be cool to have.
I think that's important to them. Same thing with South Carolina and Clemson.
SEC might be the only conference right now that kind of cares about geography.
Yeah.
Everywhere else, for the most part, it's just what's the best program.
They've thrown it out the window, yeah.
Right. I also want to talk about it on how do you think geography and like the travel will affect like teams like how will UCLA and USC do next year? Not this year, but next year when they're in the Big Ten and they have all that travel. Like,
terrible. I think it's going to affect them horribly.
Like, imagine you have a game Saturday and you have to travel up by Thursday. You're jet lagged. Get there Friday, rest up, have a practice, and then you have to go play a game on Saturday. Feel like that's going to be... And then it cuts out midweek of practice, basically, because you're traveling Thursday. You only get 3 days of practice, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I got to imagine it's going to be difficult.
Yeah, especially because UCLA has said that they're not chartering flights anymore.
Oh, they're not?
Oh, they said that years ago, yeah.
Jeez.
And they haven't so far.
So you could be like on a delay on like wherever.
Your men's volleyball team could be on a delay to go to Iowa City, and it's like we're stuck. I don't know what to say.
Right. Jeez.
So I think it's gonna affect them very, very much.
There's also some other things that I wanted to point out with all this merger stuff, and how I feel for like California and Stanford and Oregon State and Washington State, basically.
Mm-hmm.
There are top programs within these universities of athletics. California, I just learned, basically has like the top rowing program in the nation. Has represented at the Olympics 3 times, basically.
Yeah. Stanford like pumps athletes into the Olympics.
Yeah, I mean stuff like that. Oregon State baseball traditionally has been very good. Recently it's on a decline, but traditionally has been very good
still.
And then Stanford has their women's volleyball program, not volleyball, women's basketball program.
Yeah.
And like, what happens to these elite programs basically because they're not in a power conference? Like, I look at it from like baseball and basketball at least. It's going to affect them. Now, I don't know enough about rowing to know how that affects you or if it does at all. If you could just row your way to a championship every year and it doesn't matter, you know? Like if you just...
I think that's the goal, to row yourself to a championship.
Well, I mean, like you're just undefeated. Like they literally went undefeated in rowing last year. Like, pretty ridiculous. But
well, they're probably not going to lose too many rowing matches. I think it's called matches.
I'll buy that for $1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you don't have to play, if you don't have to row against Oregon,
but there is something to be saying about you want to play against the best.
That's true.
Like, and if you're not able to play against the best, then you're kind of stuck.
I mean, but that's the whole thing about like realignment, though, is that they're not being thought of.
Right. It's
like
these programs.
It's football
football's king.
and to a lesser degree basketball driving the ship.
Men's basketball.
Yes, men's basketball.
Which is unfortunate to see, basically, because there are elite programs out there who have their niche at their school where they're very good at something, and it's
yeah.
Who knows? Maybe they'll survive, but like,
I think
it's a tough one.
I don't know. It depends. I think what's going to happen is they're probably going to have to put those fires out whenever they're on a little more stable ground.
Right.
You know, if the Pac-12 ends up staying alive and absorbing some teams from the Mountain West and the American, or Stanford and Cal do go to the ACC, they'll have a little bit of money to fall back on.
Right.
They're probably gonna have to cut sports. I think at the end of the day, I think all 4 of those schools are gonna have to cut some sports.
Really, you think so?
I think they're gonna have to drop some.
Wow.
If it, like, University of Chicago had to drop football, like, I don't know how many years ago. I think it might have been like the 1930s or something like that. But I don't know. I don't know exactly when they dropped football. But they dropped football because of Title IX. You have to have as many female athletes as male athletes.
I thought it was many sports.
No, it's athletes.
That was equal number of sports.
Pretty sure it's athletes. I'll look it up.
Because the whole point of Title IX, as growing up as a boy playing volleyball, it was not allowed to have men's volleyball unless you had another women's sport added.
Athletes.
Really, it's athletes.
And so the thing is about that, there is no female equivalent for football.
No, it's like 54.
So you have to have way more. If you have a football program, you have to have way more women's sports than men's sports. But the thing is, the majority of these sports, men or women, they don't make money.
Right.
And so if you want to keep football, you've got to
fund those sports.
You have to fund the sports. And so there's going to be, if you want to keep football throughout this, which Chicago didn't, and then ended up being detrimental to their athletic department, and then they eventually brought it back, but now they're like a D3 school.
Right.
Even though they have a Division I national championship. Like,
right.
That just cripples an athletic program. So I think all of them are going to want to keep sports, and they're just going to have to figure out how do these other non-profit sports fit into the equation.
Right.
I mean, keep football. That's what I meant to say.
Right. I mean, yeah, it's unfortunate. It really is.
You know, I've got a theory.
Let's hear this theory.
It's not really a theory.
You got a little look in your eye. You're like, huh? I got this theory.
I got a yarn I'm about to spin.
Oh.
Let's say the rumors are true about the Big Ten wanting Virginia, North Carolina.
Okay.
What this does, they go to the Big Ten, Duke, North Carolina, on top of them now not playing twice a year in basketball. Depending on where Duke ends up in all of this, at most, only one of those games is going to go on ESPN. And with college football, people watch. They'll flip around. They'll find games. People want to watch college football.
Right.
With college basketball, if you're not on ESPN, nobody watches you.
No. That's not true.
You live in a very basketball-hungry city. Outside of Louisville, if you're not on ESPN, nobody watches you.
I will flip through and watch. I will go to Fox Sports.
That's anecdotal.
I will go to CBS. I will go through other ones because, like, I thoroughly enjoy watching. Now, this just might be the way I'm raised, but I will go through and find the games, whether it's the Big East, American Conference, because those are good basketball games. I'll watch the Marquette versus the Georgetown. I'll watch.
I don't disagree with you.
I think those, like, prime old school Big East teams and wherever they are now, if they're on and they're ranked and they're good, if I see two numbers next to each other as I look at through the app, I want to find that game and watch it.
That's the thing. I feel the same way as you. But we live in a very, very basketball hungry, specifically college basketball hungry city.
Right.
So we are kind of cut from a different cloth. Most people, the way they consume college basketball, they don't care about it at all until after the Super Bowl.
That's a fair statement, maybe.
And
really,
even then,
that's so you're all missing
even
out on
then,
good basketball. That's all I'm
that's
saying.
true. I mean, yeah,
it's
very
good
true.
basketball.
Yeah, but even then, after the Super Bowl, they don't really get into it until March Madness. And so, for those people who don't care until the Super Bowl, they're only watching what's on ESPN. They don't care. They're not flipping through. They're just going to see what's on ESPN, see if it's a good game. If it's not, I don't care. And so, Duke, North Carolina, ESPN knows that, they don't play their 2 games until after the Super Bowl. Every single year, if you pay attention, the first game that they play is the very first Saturday after the Super Bowl. They hype it up. They get college game day. They're like, this is it. This is the rivalry of the sport. It's not, but that's what they hype up. And so
it does help when you have half of the panel being Duke players.
Yeah. So that's what they do that. And then the last game of the regular season, they play each other again. They get college game day again. If UNC goes to Fox, goes to Big Ten, they're gonna play all their home games on Fox. At most, let's say Duke ends up in a place that ESPN has the media rights for. At most, every other year, 1 game is going to be played on ESPN. That leaves a void for college basketball. That's where the SEC comes in. The SEC, I think eventually they're going to expand to 18, maybe 20. If they expand to only 18, I think they get Florida State and Clemson. That's what I think.
Okay.
In this scenario where North Carolina and Virginia have already gone to the Big Ten, let's say they want to expand to 20, I think they've got a few different options. I think Miami's going to be the number 1 school that they want. Depends on if the Big Ten also wants them and has the potential to get them. Let's say they don't. They get Miami. I think the way I would probably look at it is the 2 other schools that have a chance of being that 20th school in the SEC are either Virginia Tech, because they have a storied football program. People love football.
It's a really good entrance they got with Enter Sandman.
Yeah.
Have you ever watched it?
Yes, I have.
That's great.
And so, in those games, like Clemson and Virginia Tech are probably the 2 ACC schools where their home football games feel more like an SEC game.
Oh, yeah.
So
definitely.
Virginia Tech is on the board. The other school, I think, is Louisville.
You think Louisville could join the SEC?
Potentially. It also depends on who, it depends on if the Big 12 wants to expand to 20 teams as well. Because they could go and get Virginia Tech and NC State.
I don't know about Louisville joining the SEC.
Here's my argument about this. Now, with the best rivalry in college basketball, it's not gone from ESPN. The SEC, their games are aired on ESPN. ESPN's going to want that back. Why not have Louisville, Kentucky be your new Duke, North Carolina?
Because I hear you. I hear what you're saying. But as far as Louisville goes, and I love this city and everything, it is not a football town by any stretch of the imagination.
No, but it's a huge basketball town.
Yeah, but SEC is football's king. Everybody they've added, football is king, basically. The only caveat about the SEC is, like, you have, like, Vanderbilt and Kentucky, basically, who are not football is king. Other than that, every single program down there, that is the case. And Louisville's just not that. Louisville is a Midwestern city kind of in the South. It's not.
I'll agree. I'll agree with that.
It's not. It's like if you talk about the SEC and
it's not a perfect cultural fit.
No, it's definitely not. The cultural fit for the SEC is not there.
You think Missouri is a cultural fit?
I don't know enough about Missouri, but like Florida.
Missouri is a Midwestern
but like Florida State, that's a fit.
Yeah.
Miami, it kind of is, kind of isn't.
Culturally, they're not a fit, but
But football is king. You know,
yes.
Sticking with that same, like Clemson, fit. Florida State, fit. Those two work perfectly in the SEC. It's hard to argue that. As far as like Louisville goes, though, just like I don't see it happening for that reason. It's like,
but I also Louisville when Louisville gets their act together in football, which they have multiple times throughout their
the problem is
existence.
It has to happen multiple times because whenever we get our act together, the coach leaves for better ventures.
Well, now we've got Brom. Jeff Brom, for those who don't know, Very good coach from Louisville. Played at Louisville, loves Louisville. When he coached at Purdue, when he coached at Western Kentucky and FAU, he never sold his house in Louisville. He just kept a house here.
Well, he's got family here. Why would he lose?
No, it's because he was planning his comeback.
Stop it. No.
The entire time he wanted to go back to Louisville.
Well, that's not 100% true because we offered him before we offered Satterfield.
He wasn't done at Purdue.
He wasn't done at Purdue.
Yeah, and then now he is.
Right, because he felt like he had more to do there. I'm just saying,
I don't think Jeff Brom's going to leave. If, let's say, Louisville has 2 11-win seasons in a row,
so
I don't think Jeff Brom's
Nick
leaving.
Saban retires. We're on top of the world. He gets offered Bama. He's not going to Bama?
I don't think so.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I don't think so.
Really?
I do not think so.
You think this is the coach? He's not going anywhere.
Unless it gets untenable as far as he's lost it.
No, let me put it this way.
Or
he either we either fire him or he resigns. He does not leave. Or retires. He either gets fired or he retires. He does not leave for another school, you think?
Yeah, I think so.
Really?
Yeah. I think for the first time since Schnellenberger, there has been a chance for a coach at Louisville to stay for their entire career. And the only reason Schnelly left is because...
Schnelly? Y'all are close?
Are you not?
I'm not close with Schnelly.
That says more about you than it does me.
I don't know about that.
The only reason Schnelly left is because he wanted the best chance to win a national championship at Louisville. He was very open about that. And then Louisville went and joined Conference USA. There was no way they were going to win a national championship in Conference USA. So he left for Oklahoma. It was a bit of a disaster at Oklahoma, but he left for Oklahoma. That's the only reason he left Louisville.
It is funny on how coaches leave here and they go to the next venture, and it's pretty bad for them.
Yeah.
I mean, we got Petrino, we have Strong, we had Schnellenberger, hopefully Satterfield.
John L. Smith.
Don't know the name.
You don't know John L. Smith? John L. Smith was right before Petrino.
Oh, okay.
First stint.
Yeah, I was kind of too young.
Yeah, he left for Michigan State.
Gotcha.
Stunk it up.
There's a trend here. So what we're telling you is, if you're the coach, Brom, don't leave.
I just think that the SEC.
Don't get me wrong.
There's an opportunity because
if we go to the
whatever
SEC, I'll
games. Yeah, of course. Right. That's why. Why do you think I'm putting together this scenario?
I just don't see it happening. It just doesn't. It's a
I think it's a possibility. I only think it's a possibility. No, I only think it's a possibility if what is reported to be true about Virginia and North Carolina actually ends up being true. And recently, what has been reported to be true by ESPN
pretty good
has come to fruition.
Yep.
They have really been Johnny on the spot with it, with their rumors. And so that opens the door a little bit. And then also it's contingent on the SEC wanting to go to 20 eventually.
We're going to be stuck without a conference, aren't we? And we're just not going to. We're going to be.
No. Well, I think we're either going to long shot SEC or the Big 12. I think the Big 12 would take us.
It's good basketball.
Plus, we've got rivalries there with West Virginia and Cincy.
Yeah. Battle of Kegs, bring it back.
Yeah. So I think there's a possibility.
Yeah.
I think there's a chance.
All right. Well, let's segue this in one way or another.
Yeah. Time for a seamless transition.
Yeah, absolutely.
You want to talk about Iowa State?
Oh, yeah. Good old Iowa State quarterback, Hunter Deckers.
Yeah.
It's a funny name, Hunter Deckers. He put this shortly, betted on a good amount of college football. One of them being his own team in Iowa State. I believe it was against
Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma State.
Yeah, it is. It's come out that the game that he bet.
He was a backup quarterback to Brock Purdy.
Yeah, and started all their games last year.
Ooh, nice. Also, there's a video of him out basically betting $500 against a girl or whatever that I forget, but it's just like the evidence is damning, and he bet $2,799 on DraftKings, which included 26 Iowa State games.
Yeah, and then the one football game in 2021 against Oklahoma State.
Do we know
when he was not a starter?
Do we know if he bet it for or against his team?
No.
Oh.
No. It's up in the air. I would have to imagine. Actually, I don't know.
Could you imagine?
I was about to say I have to imagine he bet for
for
Iowa State, but I don't know.
Could you imagine if he didn't? Because I think this is legal. This is an NCAA. This is legal action.
Yeah. This is
it's
definitely a criminal case.
Yeah. Nothing like trying to throw games for money. Yeah.
But I think it's important to note that he was not the only one.
Really?
Yeah, I think he was the most egregious, but most blatant about it.
Oh, you're the one taking snaps under center and you're betting the games? Yeah.
Well, also he
bet the most
on video. He was like, "I'll bet right now. This is illegal, by the way. Don't tell anyone." But
don't post this.
No, it was first reported by like a local newspaper in Iowa.
Yeah.
There were 7 players total. I think 4 Iowa State, 3 at Iowa.
Oh.
They were all betting on games. I think he was the most. He was the worst case scenario.
All right.
For all of them, it seems like.
Yeah.
And he also he was underage when he bet. So
So how does he have the account?
He used it under like his parents' name, which unfortunately
is going to bring them in the legal
unfortunately could bring them into the investigation. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they're probably already involved because it's your son getting arrested for illegal gambling.
Here's what I would do if I were like a coach of a college team. You're not allowed to have the app on your phone.
Why would you have the app on your phone?
Just to check on it. I don't know.
But are you going to go through and check?
I'm not letting them have the app on their phone.
Are you going to check your players like a strict parent in college that
Yeah.
make sure they don't have that app on their phone?
Yeah. And if they do,
what happens?
They're getting suspended. And then it's going to get looked into.
And then you're going to have to explain to the media why they're getting suspended?
Yeah.
And then do you have a problem then in your program? And how does that reflect on you, coach?
You know how many times players get suspended and they're like, "Oh, they broke team guidelines." And that's it? We never learn anything else? It happens constantly in every sport. That there would be nothing. If Coach DeBerger suspended his star quarterback, he broke team guidelines.
Right.
And you know, like, "Oh, we're investigating it further." That's it. No one has to know. Unless star quarterback is gambling, and then he gets kicked off the team. I'm just saying, I'd be a little bit of a tyrant when it comes to gambling.
Right.
You can't let players even get in a position where this could be an issue.
Right. You can't make it to where it becomes an issue.
You kind of got to protect them from themselves a little bit, because it seems like it just feels obvious at this point. It's like, all you have to do is not gamble.
Yeah.
That's all you have to do.
Right.
And a lot of people keep gambling. I get it if it's like a compulsion, like you have a gambling addiction. I don't know how many of these people do have gambling addictions. I'm not going to make any claims, because I'm not going to claim how many pages in the DSM apply to players. But, like, I'm just saying, all you have to do is not gamble. I know it's kind of like just don't do drugs argument, but, like...
Hey, dare. Just say no.
Exactly. Just don't bet.
Just say no.
I just think coaches should, and athletic directors.
Joseph,
I think they should.
I'm getting free candy.
From Dare? What are you talking about?
Get in the back of someone's van. Just say no. Is that a different type of no?
What are you talking about right now, man?
What?
What is this?
Just for saying no, right? Say no to drugs. Say no to candy.
Do you want to talk about the recruit Kentucky got or no?
We can. Yep. They got a 7'2" big dude from Europe. I don't know how to say his name, and I'm not going to even try. But
I think it's Zvonimir
Yeah.
Ivisic.
he's pulled out of the NBA draft twice already. So next time that he goes, he has to basically go.
Played for FIBA
Yeah.
for 2 seasons.
Yeah, so he played professionally, not semi-professionally. Didn't know this was allowed.
I didn't either.
A little bit upset as a Louisville fan that they were getting a good player, but it is what it is. Part of me wants to think that basically with them getting a good player, I think this opens up another gate of NIL money possibilities of foreign players maybe wanting to come over, where they look at it and they go, I can make equivalent amount of money, get a little bit of a college experience.
Kind of.
I mean, like, it's the same. I think
it could.
I think it's a similar argument to be made now as to college baseball. And let me explain. So, Europe, you get paid to play basketball from a certain age on up once you sign a professional contract, right? Then once you turn 18, you're eligible for the draft. So we've seen it with multiple players from Kristaps Porzingis to Luka Doncic to Giannis Antetokounmpo. Those are just the notable stars, to name a few.
Victor Wembanyama.
Right. Also, some flops there in there as well.
Not from Wembanyama.
Right. Frank Ntilikina. He's one of them from France. But anyway.
I thought he was going to be good. I was shocked.
Yeah, as a Knicks fan, you hoped for that too, but it didn't happen. Anyway, so I compare it to the MLB draft and basically on how, like, the way the draft works for the MLB is you can go straight out of high school or you have to wait till your third year of college to be eligible to get drafted. I think this pays a similar pathway to the NBA for these players where they could play to where you could sign the money and then go play in the minor leagues for 2 years before you get your shot in the major leagues or whatever. Whereas over here now, you can go play college rather than playing in Slovenia, getting paid the same amount as you would being on college campus, being the stud.
I think he played in Montenegro.
Right. I'm just saying, just as an example.
Yes.
It opens up the
Good example.
It opens up the possibility of, like, where players can go and basically have the opportunity to try and see how their talents fare against U.S. players, brought up U.S. players, and also it's very much easier for you to get more eyeballs on you as an NBA scout. If you're playing college basketball, scouts are watching college basketball, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's a lot easier to compare a prospect when they're playing against each other. Like, that's the whole thing about right now. It's like, with college basketball, you have the options of now going, as a NBA prospect, I should say, you have the option of college basketball, going overseas, which is what some players do. Now you also have, like, the G League, and then you also have the Ignite program as well. You have 4 different options now to go. And I think this provides a realistic option for European players to now want to come over to college because of the NIL money.
Yeah, well, okay, so the problem with that is that currently foreign players that play college sports can't make NIL in the States.
Really? Why is that?
It's because the type of visa that you get to go over and go to a university in America. You can't make money while you're here.
Really?
Yep. So if that were the case, all these places would have to, like, Kentucky's already doing this. You have to go, like, play some international tournament. Like, I think they went to the Bahamas last year.
Right.
They went to Canada this year.
Right. They represent the United States. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so I get what you're saying, but you can only do that if your school goes internationally.
Well, what's to stop?
At some point.
What's to stop a school?
The NCAA.
Well, I mean, no. What's to stop a school from doing an international preseason? And there you go.
The NCAA.
Really?
You can only do it so many years in a row. Why? I don't know. It's because they're stupid. And that's
why?
Part of the reason why I'm a little frustrated with this is because, I mean, yes, I'm a Louisville fan. I'm not going to lie. I'm upset that Kentucky got a professional basketball player. He's 20 and he's going to be a freshman.
Yeah.
He's 7'2".
Yeah. So he's going to be playing. He could be playing until he's 24, 25.
Exactly. He could play until he's
But let's be
25
real.
years
If we're being
old.
realistic here, he does not go to Kentucky to play 4 years.
I mean, you don't want to play 4
When
years.
was the last time you saw a Kentucky player play 4 years and made it to the league?
Major League? I don't know.
Patrick Patterson?
Archie Goodwin or someone.
Yeah.
But, the thing is, yes, I'm mad that it's Kentucky. I'm more frustrated that it seems like the NCAA is
allowing this. Well, also
just going back on their own rules with no explanation.
Also,
I don't
to be
actually.
fair, it should be allowed. Let's just give one thing clear.
That's exactly what I'm about to say. I think that it just offers education for people. It offers education for someone who might not
have the
otherwise have the ability to get it.
Right.
Yeah, it offers, like a better life. You could. It's a pathway, like you said, to the NBA potentially. And Kentucky's also not the only school doing this. UCLA and Arizona also have done this already, apparently, which is cool, I just wish the NCAA were more consistent and transparent. I think that's where most of my frustration lies. And I'm not going to lie, some of it lies with Kentucky.
I mean, it's interesting on how the NCAA comes up with their rules and stuff. I don't know anything about the rules that you just mentioned. I was not aware of them because, as I went on my spiel, basically saying NIL money, apparently that's not allowed.
I mean, it can, you just can't go every year. Do a preseason.
But why is that a rule to begin with?
I don't know.
Because why? So, does this guy become ineligible this next year because they're not going to an international tournament?
He's not.
So how would that even work? That doesn't make sense. You know what I mean?
It depends. I don't know. I don't know exactly how the visas work. That players get to play for American universities from overseas. I don't know exactly how it works. I don't know if they could visit home. I don't know if that's allowed or if they only have so many trips in and out of the country or something like that. Because if they can visit home, if that's a possibility, that's when you get your NIL money.
Oh, yeah.
You literally just
hey, I'm making a trip
you work
home.
out these deals beforehand, and then you go back to the Balkans, you get your money, and then you go right back home. So that,
there's definitely ways around it.
It's just
always players have been getting paid since the 80s or 70s, probably.
I think before then, but yeah.
I mean,
Blue chips, baby.
Was Bill Russell getting paid by San Francisco?
He might have.
Nah, I don't think so.
You're probably right.
But yeah. That pretty much covers it for the most part, I would say, for what we have on this week. Want to do the Pac-12?
Pac-4.
Pac-12. Or the last year of the Pac-12.
Yeah, we're going to jump into...
Each week we do rankings based off of preseason polls. Well, not based off, we create our own, basically. And we're this conference week, we're doing the Pac-12. And it only seems right, as all the news have come out, that basically this conference is not going to be here any longer.
Yeah, they're on life support.
Yeah.
And
they got hit by a double-decker bus, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's do it. Do you want to start off with... So basically, what we're looking at is the Pac12.com. Their rankings have it as the USC...
The preseason media polls.
Yes. 25 of the preseason media have USC finishing first. Second place is Washington with 4 votes to finish first. Third is Utah with 6. Fourth with 1 vote is Oregon. Then followed by 5th is Oregon State. 6th is UCLA. 7 is Washington State. 8 is Arizona. 9 is California. 10 is Arizona State. 11 is Colorado. And 12 is Stanford. Now, Derek, do you agree with this?
Yeah, it's not... it's... Top 6, I think I've got the same, roughly.
I don't have the same top 6, but the top 6 I have is right. There's definitely a top half of this conference, and then there's a bottom half. I would agree with.
Yeah.
All right.
But
do you want to do the honors?
Sure. I've got USC winning it all.
You have USC winning it all.
Yeah, I think I got them going 11-1. They're only lost to Oregon.
Oregon. I also have them losing to Oregon. Funny that you say that.
Yeah.
I'm going 11-1, 8-1 in the conference.
See?
Weirdly enough, I don't have them winning it because I have a 3-way tie for first.
What? Them, Oregon,
And Utah.
Utah.
Utah loses to Oregon. No, Utah loses to USC. USC loses to Oregon. And Oregon loses to Utah. All because their games are played at home. Those games are home matches because USC plays Oregon at Oregon. Utah plays USC at USC. And Oregon plays Utah at Utah. And I think home field advantage is going to be a factor. And those are my 3 teams that I have top. I don't know how it's going to work. I don't know how you pick who plays in the championship game or in a 3-way tie.
Also, who do you have winning it all? Did you not pick that? Did you not?
I didn't get that far because it's like, probably USC or Utah over Oregon, but Oregon beats. I don't know. It's those top 3 teams. I didn't get that far.
I mean, do you have any of them dropping like a non-conference game, or are they all 11-1?
No. USC's non-conference is San Jose State, Nevada, and
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame. Yeah, I see them beating Notre Dame. Utah beat Florida, beat Baylor, beat Webster State.
Weber.
Fair enough. Weber. I'll put it double.
Weber
State. And then Oregon, they got Texas Tech, Hawaii, and Portland State. See those all being wins for them?
Yeah.
So I have a 3-way tie for first at 8-1.
Yeah,
It's another fun one.
You really make it easy.
Well, I mean, like, why not let's have these conversations at the end of the year where it's like, who goes from the Pac-12, who goes from the SEC. It's fun things to have.
Sure, I have mine a little.
Controversy, a little drama.
I think mine's a little more straightforward. USC's number 1 through the regular season. I think I had Washington, Oregon, and Utah all in a 3-way tie. As far as going 7-2 in conference.
I have Washington one step below.
Actually, no. I had Utah at 8-1 in conference.
So
11-1 overall. They're only lost to USC.
Gotcha. And USC loses to Oregon. The only difference is that Oregon doesn't get the job done at Utah for you.
Yeah.
So you have a 2-way.
I think Utah's going to be good.
I think Utah's going to be really good. My 4th place team is Washington. I have them just below that tier at 8-1. I have them at 7-2, with only losses to Utah and USC. Think they get through Michigan State, Tulsa, and Boise State in their out of conference. I have them at 10-2 overall.
Yeah, I've got them at 10-2. I've got Oregon at 10-2, but I think I've got Washington beating Oregon. Yes, I do. Okay, I want to talk about this. I have USC beating Utah in the Pac-12 championship. The only reason I do is because the last week of the regular season, USC has a bye week. And so I figured if they make it, if they lock it up at that point,
they got that extra rest.
Yeah, they have extra time to prepare
for
whoever they're going to play. That's the only reason I have them, because I'm very high on Utah this year. I think they've been really good the past 2 years.
They have.
They've kept a similar core. Cam Rising is in his 3rd year.
It's a good quarterback.
Yeah, so typically how it works in football is that like you build.
And you have an experienced team and then you go for it.
Yes. This seems like Utah's year to go for it. USC also seems like they're much better from last year.
Yeah.
And I just think
USC, though, has a lot of parts they have to put together and figure out fast. The talent from the transfer portal they got is definitely there. It's just a matter of, will that talent work together?
Yeah, but the first 6 games are cake.
Up until Notre Dame, basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then it's Notre Dame and Utah.
They'll be fine at that point, I think.
Notre Dame, Utah, Washington, Oregon. I mean, in those five weeks right there, I don't know when their bye is, but
They have a bye after Stanford before Arizona State.
Oh, so yeah, they have 5 weeks of just 4 really hard games, with the only gimme being California.
Mm-hmm.
They gotta get through Notre Dame, Utah, California,
You're-
Washington, Oregon, and UCLA. You can kind of throw in there. It's a top 6 team in my opinion.
A top 6, yeah, but I think they're. It sounds like they're going to start their true freshman quarterback, so I think they're going to go through some lumps.
I gotcha.
But-
So, 5th place team. I really like this team. I think they're going to be a really good team this year. I have Oregon State.
Yeah, I've got them at 5th place.
I have them at 5th. I have them going 6-3. Only losses are to the teams that are above them. I have them Oregon, Washington, and Utah. I have them 9-3 overall. See them beating San Jose State, UC Davis, and San Diego State University. The only losses I have are Oregon, Washington, and Utah.
Yeah, same. I think the thing about Oregon State is that I think they kind of got screwed because Oregon State got better. Like, Oregon State had a really good
Yeah, they
team
got screwed.
last
They
year.
got left behind by everyone else.
We talked about that already.
Oh, you're talking like just football, not like
Yeah, no, I
conference
mean
real.
this season. They had a really good team last year, but their quarterback was garbage. Now they bring in DJ Uiagalelei, who I don't.
He's decent.
He's an average college quarterback,
As an average,
maybe below average college.
I have
quarterback.
him in like he's a top 25 quarterback in my
That's
opinion.
pretty high. I feel like.
I don't think it's that high on the dude. He didn't really pan out for Clemson, but Clemson has certain standards of being a top 10, top 5 program. I don't
Yeah,
think.
but their offense was abysmal when he was in.
But I don't think he's that bad of a quarterback.
I don't think he's that good.
To each their own, I suppose. But I mean, like,
The point is, it's a slight upgrade.
oh, it's definitely an upgrade from what
Yeah.
they had.
They had a
It is.
terrible quarterback.
Right.
I can't remember the guy's name either, but he was not good. He's at least an upgrade. But the problem is, I think USC got better. I think Utah probably got better. Utah's older. So
Utah's just a team that's ready to go for it, basically.
yeah. So Utah got better. Oregon got better. Washington, I think is going to be. Washington, I've got going 10-2 again, but like I could really see Washington winning the entire Pac-12. Because Washington, Penix, I think is such a good quarterback.
They got
Kalen DeBoer, I think, is a really good coach. Kalen DeBoer, I found this out recently. He was the offensive coordinator at Indiana during the COVID year
oh, okay.
when they almost made the playoff.
Right.
So, and then he left, and then Indiana sucked immediately afterwards. Basically, he was winning those games for Indiana. And so,
It is. They do have Washington. Their last 4 games. I mean, those 3 games right there. They got USC, Utah, Oregon State. That's gonna be a hard one.
yeah, and Washington State, which is a rival.
Yeah.
Which they're probably going to win that, but like
I mean, they're.
rivalry games are still
I
rivalry.
mean, literally, they don't. For me, they're gonna be top ranked. That Washington USC game could be a game day game just because of where they're gonna be ranked. Because I have them undefeated up until that point.
I think I got both of them undefeated.
Right. So I mean, like it's like someone's gotta fall. It's gonna be 2 undefeated teams if our predictions pan out. Washington's gonna be a good team this year. I just don't see them better than USC, Utah, or Oregon. And then
I think they're going to be better than Oregon.
really,
I'm really high on Michael Penix. I think he's a really good
I
quarterback.
think he's top 5 quarterback.
As I said, I think our first episode, I think he's going to be first round draft pick.
Really?
I
So you got him right
I
there
said
with-
he's a top 5 quarterback in this upcoming draft.
Oh.
You think he's probably because of how quarterbacks get overvalued? I think he's probably going to go first round.
Well, it's possible. Usually, it's like 4 or 5 quarterbacks that go first round, and he could be one of them. It's like right now.
It's like anywhere from 3 to 5
it's-
typically.
It's Williams and May right now are the 2
Yeah.
preseason heading in,
Mm-hmm.
undisputed.
And that changes.
Yeah. So 6, I got UCLA.
Yep.
I think we all agree on that top 6. On that, these are
Are there-
not like in
We have a
order.
little bit different order,
Not
but
in
yeah,
order, but,
it's,
like,
it's
these are the-
definitive who the top
This is where the
6
line is
and the
for the
bottom
Pac-12.
6. Yeah.
And there's a reason why 5 out of these 6 teams are leaving because they got good programs.
Yeah.
And UCLA for me, I got my losses at 3. I am going 6-3. I got them losing to Utah, Oregon State, and USC.
I think I got them going 5-4
5-4
in the Pac-12. Yeah.
So you have 4 losses. I have
Mm-hmm.
3 losses. Nothing about their out-of-conference schedules tells me that they're losing those.
No, Coastal Carolina might have been a tough team like
A few years back.
2-3 years ago,
Maybe
but yeah.
a year or 2, yeah.
But it's not. It's probably not.
San Diego State, NCCU I don't know what the name is.
Who?
NCCU is what I have initialed as.
North Carolina Central.
North Carolina Central. Yeah, I've never heard of them.
I think they've made it to March Madness before. I think.
Gotcha. It's a check game.
Mm-hmm. It's the bye week.
So who do you have
Bye
as your
game.
losses for them?
USC, Arizona, Oregon State, Utah.
Arizona.
Yeah.
So are you high on Arizona this year?
Not really.
All right.
I just think they've got a freshman quarterback. It's at Arizona. I think the bottom after the top 5. I mean, there's pretty much a consensus on who the top 6 is. Even then, I think there's a consensus on the top 5. I don't think there's a gap between whoever you have at 5 and UCLA.
Right. UCLA is kind of on its own for me.
And even, I agree, because even then I think there's a gap between UCLA and whoever is the 7th best team in the conference.
I have one standalone 17, and then I kind of have a gap after that.
I think I got a lot of teams going 3-6.
I have.
Yep.
I don't have any 3 and 6s. I have a 4 and 5, and then 2 and 7s. My 4 and 5 team is Arizona. I have Arizona going 4 and 5. I look at their schedule. I have them making a bowl game. Last bowl eligible team for me. They're 6 and 6. Their losses being to Mississippi State, Washington, USC, Oregon State, UCLA, and Utah. Got them beating North Arizona. I got them beating UTEP, Stanford, Washington State, Colorado, and Arizona State. I could see them losing to UTEP, though.
I could too.
And becoming not eligible, but that was one of those games where I was like on the fence about, but I gave it to them.
I had them. Here are my losses. I got them going 5 and 7.
I think that's definitely possible.
Yeah, but same. I got them same non-conference record as you, same teams too. I have them losing to Stanford, Washington, USC, Oregon State, Colorado, and Utah.
So you have them beating UCLA. Yeah, you said that before when we went on UCLA. Yeah.
Yeah. It's at home. It's at Arizona for them. It's coming off a bye week.
Definitely possible.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. The other teams I got going 3-6. I want to tell you, I got I have Washington State going 3-6, 5 and 7 overall, and then this one's gonna shock you. I think I got Stanford going 3-6.
I have Stanford 2 and 7.
All right.
I have Stanford 2 and 2nd. I have Stanford 2 and 7. They're projected to finish last. I have them finishing 8th. I have Stanford 8.
I do too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Never mind. It's not that shocking.
Apparently, we're on the same page here with this Pac-12. Comparatively to everyone else in the media, we disagree with them.
Well, I think so. Stanford hired Sacramento State's coach.
Gotcha.
If you look at what Sacramento State did before he got there and then once he got there, they were immediately better. And they were even a ranked FCS team last year.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So,
let's run through their schedule and what you have. I have them going 4 and 8, 2 and 7.
I just one more win.
Oh, so you have
5 and 7.
5 and 7.
Yep.
Okay, my wins for them are Hawaii, Sacramento State, Colorado, California.
I got Hawaii, Sacramento State, Arizona, Colorado, Cal.
Yeah, I mean, definitely
I'm
possible. Yeah.
curious what your thoughts on Colorado and Coach Prime this year.
Colorado and Coach Prime, they win a game in the Pac-12 for me. But that's about it for me. Colorado, I mean, like, they're going to be nationally televised against TCU and Nebraska just because it's Coach Prime.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're losing both those games. not necessarily nationally televised against Colorado State, but it is like on TV for you to watch nationally. It's like CBS Sports Network or whatever it is. Like I haven't beaten Colorado State. If you want to call that a rivalry, I have no clue. I don't know.
Sure, it's a rivalry. Why not? They're in the same state.
And then I haven't beaten Arizona State, and that's it. They're losing to Oregon, USC, Stanford, UCLA, Oregon State, Arizona, Washington State, and Utah.
I have them beating Nebraska.
Really?
And let me tell you why.
Let's hear it.
I think that they're going to be much more talented than Nebraska.
I would agree with that.
Also, it is the first home game under the in the Deion Sanders era.
Oh.
I think, and then they've already sold out their season.
Oh.
I think I think for the first time ever, I think they've sold out their season before it starts.
The hype is there.
Yeah.
And
so they're
so
going to
much
have
hype,
more
they're gonna
talent.
finish 11th in the Pac-12.
I think I got them like 10 or something.
I have
But
them 11.
they're going to have more talent. There's that atmosphere is going to be crazy. It's an old rivalry with Nebraska. They both used to be in the Big 12.
Right.
So that's a rivalry kind of rekindled. Also, if you look at what Matt Rule teams have done, because Matt Rule is now the coach at Nebraska, he coached at Temple and Baylor before. They both went on like very similar trajectories. Terrible the first year, won like 2 or 3 games, each time. They're like average team, like 5-7, 6-6, 7-5, and then they pop that third year. I think that's what's going to happen with Nebraska.
Bring it a pop for Nebraska third year?
Yeah, but this first year, I think Nebraska's going to suck. I do not think Nebraska's going to be good.
Right.
And I think Colorado's going to take advantage of that.
Yeah, we'll find out.
And with all that excitement going into that game, I think Colorado
and Coach Prime and his bunions going to find a way.
They might. I'm not going to say that they're going to like smack them when they get there. It might be a competitive game, but I think Colorado's going to win.
I got you. All right.
I think I've also got them beating Arizona.
Yeah. I have them beating Arizona State.
I have that as well. Yeah. I have them going 4-8 overall.
I have 2-10, 1-8.
I could see that.
Yeah. All right.
I'm pretty confident though about Nebraska. I'm feeling confident about it.
So we done my 8 and then my 11. What do you think about California?
I think it's going to be a step down. They lost their quarterback. They didn't have any weapons last year. They weren't that good last year. They had Jack Plummer, who was trying to carry the team for the most part.
Yeah.
And
is that our quarterback this year?
Yeah, he's playing at Louisville now.
Yeah.
We'll see how good he actually was.
He's a fantastic quarterback.
Well, that's the thing, is if he ends up being really good, then California's screwed. Right. Because they were not good last year with him. And if he is good, that means they're going to be absolute garbage this year.
All right. Run me through what's the record. I have a better record for them than I do Colorado.
I got them 3-9 overall.
I have them 4-8.
Now
I have them 2-7 in the Pac-12.
I got them 1-8. I only have them beating Arizona State.
So I have them beaten North Texas. I have them beaten Idaho, Arizona State, Washington State. I have them beaten. Yeah, that's it.
I just think it's all dependent on how good Jack Plummer ends up being. It's like what I've talked about. It's like you can tell how good someone was
after
as far as what the result is once they're gone.
Yeah, how it affects the team at a positional quarterback. Let's put that caveat in there for you.
Well, even in other positions.
Huh?
Even in other positions.
Not really. Not necessarily.
Sure.
I feel like quarterback's the most important, though.
I'm not disagreeing there. I think you can feel a void at other positions.
Oh, yeah. Maybe.
But
quarterback is the most. It's basically the offense runs through you.
Well, I mean, yeah, but if you get a lockdown corner and then he's gone, he graduates, your secondary is going to suffer Because
no one's arguing that, I think.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, with any position, if you're good enough and you leave, there's going to be a void.
I'm just saying it's more noticeable with the quarterback. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Potential, yeah.
Right.
Probably, yes.
Right. So my 10th place team, Washington State. Media's got them 7th. I got them 10th.
No, I think Washington State will be fine.
No, they won't. Their conference is going, and they're the ones that is going nowhere.
I mean, I had Cal at 11, so.
Oh, I had Cal at 9, Washington at 10. But the only difference is one win. One win is the difference between 8th and 11th for me. Whereas 12th is, I got a team that's going to really suck. I got no wins in the Pac-12, Arizona State.
I got them beating Washington State.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think Arizona State's going to be that
Like
good.
Washington State for me, 2-7, 4-8 on the year. Colorado State win, Wisconsin lose. Northern Colorado, I think it is. Northern Colo is what I wrote. For
Arizona State?
Washington State.
Washington State, okay.
Is it Northern Colorado?
Yep.
Yeah, I got them winning that. Oregon State losing, UCLA losing, Arizona losing, Oregon, same thing. Only two wins is Arizona State and Colorado. Stanford lost, California lost, Washington lost. That's my thing. That's what I got. You? Washington State, how do you think they're going to pan?
I think I got them beating. I got them starting off pretty poorly.
Really?
They beat Colorado State and Northern Colorado.
Right.
And then they dropped like 5 straight.
I got them dropping 4 straight. I got them beating Arizona State. So you got them beating Stanford.
Stanford, Cal, and Colorado.
Huh, so you got them on a little win streak.
Just, yeah, right before the season ends.
And then they
enough of a streak to maybe save the coach's job.
And then they're going to that game hot against Washington just to make it a little extra interesting.
Just to get...
I like that.
Yeah, with a potential... Well, because that game, in my scenario, I got them 5-6 going into Washington.
Oh, so they got a chance to be bowl eligible.
Yeah.
It's a lot on the line. Rivalry. I like that. That's a good storyline.
I didn't even think about it. I tried to do... How I've been doing these is I do it 1 week at a time.
Oh, really?
Because I really think momentum plays a lot into just any individual season. Like, you know, if you... It's easy to say, like, oh, I think one team's going to be 5-2 going into this game.
Right.
But it's like, well, what are the order of those wins and losses?
Huh.
You know, because if you start off 0-2 and then you rattle off 5 straight, well, that team's like got a little pep in their step.
Got a little mojo going.
Yeah. They feel good, as opposed to if you start off
flat.
You start off 4-0 and then you go 1-2 in your next 3.
Oh, yeah.
You know, then you're going to be kind of feeling down.
You're on the lull, whereas even though same record, you're on the up.
Mm-hmm.
I gotcha.
So I think momentum plays a huge role
in college,
in
football,
in sports in general, but especially in college.
Right.
Emotion is so important in college.
Well, they do say that's the thing about, like, when it comes to, like, basketball, it's like you want to be turning that corner around late February, mid-February, right? As soon as conference tournaments coming around, that's when you want to be your best, because that's when it matters.
Yeah.
Yeah. I basically look at it and I go, I like this team, I've never heard of this team. So they got to beat the team I've never heard of, like Weber State.
Weber.
Yeah, exactly.
Damian Lillard played there.
Yeah, they're going 0-12 in football because I've never heard of them.
They might not go 0-12. I wonder what they went last year.
They probably are going to do.
What do you think they went last year?
I'm going to say they did decent just because of their conference, because I probably don't know their conference. I'm going to say 4-8. They collected checks for their first 3 or 4 games out of conference, and then they won a few. So that's 23. Oh, we're going to find out. Why do they have dates in advance? Okay.
Because they have
schedules
schedules
out.
Yeah, in football you schedule like
way out in advance.
8 years in advance. They went 10-3 last year.
There you go. See, I was close with 4-8.
10-3. They're 3 losses.
They beat
Utah
Utah
everyone
State.
cares. They beat Eastern Washington. That's a good win.
Utah State, I feel like, was a more noble win.
They did
by a lot.
Utah State's garbage last year, though.
Oh, well, what's
They were
their
so
most
bad.
notable win out of the 10?
They lost to Montana State, which that's a respectable loss. Montana State's a good FCS program. They beat Montana, though, also a good
I
FCS.
don't know this.
Lost to Sacramento State, who's coaching Stanford now.
Ah.
And then it looks like they lost in the playoff. Once again to Montana
So wait, is
State.
this FCS team?
Yeah.
Oh. I didn't know they were FCS. I thought it was a low FBS.
I didn't know either, but here we are.
Yeah.
FCS.
Shout out Weber State.
It's pronounced Weber. I don't know why.
Fair enough.
FCS is actually, they've got a very, very fun playoff.
Right.
It's basically March Madness, but with football.
Isn't it top 8 that go? Or is it
64.
Really? They do 64?
They do 64 teams.
How the hell do you have
A lot of them are home games, I think.
Or what?
I think the first 2 rounds for the FCS are home games for whoever is seeded higher.
That makes sense. I'm not talking about that per se.
What?
I'm like, how many games would you play as a, if you go all the way, how many games is that?
I don't know.
Because at most right now you're playing what, 15 games? I want to say, so let's say you go undefeated in the season. You play a conference championship. Then you play a semifinal and a final. That's 3 more games than 12. Yeah, you're only playing 15 games. Do you know who won it last year and that's why you're pulling it up?
Yeah, I think Incarnate World won it a couple years ago. So I'm trying to figure out. Well, okay, right here. They went 14-2.
So it's only. So
they went 12-2. I mean.
So do they just play less regular season games to accommodate for the tournament?
12-2. Yeah, minus the
3 games.
That's 10-1 outside of the
So
playoffs. So yeah, they play
one less game to
11
accommodate
games.
for the tournament. Gotcha.
They play 11 games, but then they also Incarnate World last year did not.
They got in the semifinals.
Yeah, they lost barely in the semifinals. They were
a bye.
fun.
They also got a bye. If you look at it, they played second round in the playoffs, not first round. So they somehow got a bye.
Okay, so it might not be 64 teams. I thought it was 64.
I would say that'd be insane. So
Let's look up Furman then. Let's see what they did.
we're finding out how the FCS.
Look, I'm just saying the FCS playoffs is fun.
The only notable FCS teams that I'm aware of are the Dakotas, like North Dakota and South Dakota State, and those are the ones that I'm aware of that are usually traditionally very good.
Yes, I mean they are.
Furman though is D1 though in basketball because they've made the tournament all the time.
I think most FCS
are
football
D1
schools are D1 in basketball.
but they're
FCS is D1 still. It's just
really.
It's basically D1A and D1B.
Huh.
That's
Fair enough.
Come on, results. Anyway, you got anything else? Because
I mean,
I can't look it up.
we gotta go over Arizona State and
Arizona State's gonna suck.
Yeah, I got them 0-9. I got them going 2-10. They beat Fresno State and Southern Utah. They lose to Oklahoma State out of conference for me. That's what I have. Yeah. Sounds like we both like the Utes of Utah, and we also like the Trojans in Southern California.
I think depending on how USC's, how their season shakes up.
How their talent gels is that's my big question mark. It's a new team. It's basically a new team.
It's a new defense, for sure.
It's a new front. Basically a new front seven.
Yeah.
New weapons for Caleb Williams, so wide receiver too.
I think depending on how that goes down, I think the Pac-12 could be a little more wide open.
Right.
It's just that bye week before the conference championship game that really does it for me.
But they have to make it there. They have to.
That's what I'm saying.
But also, that's the other thing about their bye week is they haven't. I could counter argue that and say they have one less week of rest to prepare for their 12 regular season scheduled games. So it's going to be more of an onslaught.
No, they don't.
Yeah, it's going to be more of an onslaught.
They play week 0.
Oh, you got me there. Do they actually?
Yeah, so they have 2 byes.
I have that written down somewhere.
So, because I'm really high on Utah. If Utah, let's say USC doesn't make it
I don't.
to the conference championship game,
Yeah.
I think Utah's winning it all. And I think this is a very much could be a year where Utah goes to the playoff.
I think it's definitely in the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
I would say, in my opinion, there's 3 schools that could go. Oregon, USC, Utah.
Not Washington?
I just have Washington a tier below. And I can see as a consensus is that I'm wrong. A lot of people have Washington second.
I think I'm very high on
it's a
their
good
coach quarterback duo.
It's a good coach. It's a good quarterback. I'm looking at it from the perspective of it's a hard schedule for them.
Yeah,
they kind of got done dirty.
Well, it's a hard schedule for all the top 4, you know? Like, they're very...
No, I would disagree. Utah only has Oregon and USC. They don't play Washington. They don't... I mean, like...
They play Oregon State?
Oregon, yeah, they got Oregon State and UCLA, but they just don't...
That's not going to be a gimme, Oregon State.
Right, but... Well, they do play Washington. What am I talking about? Never mind. I don't know what I'm talking about.
See, it's all tough. It's tough. I could very easily see a world where they just all beat each other up.
They probably could, yeah.
And then none of them make the playoff.
This is why we have predictions, and we stand by them until we're wrong. And then we say, you know what, that team sucks. And they didn't do what I thought they were going to do, so they were wrong, and I wasn't. That's how the internet works.
Yeah.
You're never wrong. The other person's always wrong.
That's true.
They just didn't do what you knew they could do. So that's their fault.
Sure is true.
Yeah.
On that high note,
I can't wait to see you guys on Twitter to fight about it. Oh, my bad. X.
it's not getting called X.
What is it then?
It's Twitter.
Is it Twitter?
It's Twitter.
So when you
I don't care.
So you open up, you Google whatever it's called. What does it take you to? Don't get me wrong. I'm not a fan of the change. I think it's pretty stupid. Okay.
X will never be adopted on a wide scale.
Gotcha. Yeah, we're going to Threads. See you on Threads.
We are on Threads actually. That's serious. Yeah. We're on Threads.
Turn Threads into the new Twitter, and we'll fight about it there.
Yeah, follow us on College Town Podcast.
Yeah.
On Threads.
Yeah, we're gonna fight about it.
It's a picture of me as a child because we don't have a podcast
logo
picture yet. Logo.
Yeah, we should probably work on that. Shouldn't
We should.
Yeah, it's a grassroots operation.
Yeah. Well,
till next time.
Yeah. Go Ravens.
Go Bengals.